that just couldn't go to Wisconsin.
Well, if you want.
From having recorded.
Why not? American Hair. This is record.
Oh, wait, I got it. Oh, I did. Okay.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming up to tonight's regular scheduled council meeting. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is now called to order. In line with the Borough of Seabright's long-standing policy of open government and in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, I wish to advise that adequate notice of this regular scheduled meeting was sent to the Asbury Park Press and other local newspapers on January 10th, 2023. In each instance, the date, time, and location of this meeting were provided in the notice. This meeting is open to the public. Roll call. Councilmembers Bieber? Here. Booker? Here. Catalano? Here. Gorman?
Here.
Keeler?
Present.
Romney?
Here.
America is here. Okay, first up, we'd like to have a moment of silence for Lori Klein. I think most of the people here remember Lori. She's a very nice person, big part of our community, but I'd just like to have a moment of silence for her. Thank you, Ms. Alright, we'll go on to remarks from the audience. If there's anyone at all online or in person that can be heard, just please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to address the governing body. Is there anybody that can be heard? Alright, so I guess we'll move on to our consent agenda. Will somebody please make a motion to approve the items on this consent agenda?
So moved.
All right, Councilmembers Bieber?
Yes.
Booker?
Yes.
Catalano?
Yes.
Gorman?
Yes.
Bueller?
Yes.
And all right, then consent agenda is approved. We'll move right along to ordinances. First ordinance, number 1223, ordinance authorizing the leasing of certain capital equipment by the Borough of Seabright, New Jersey from the Monmouth County Improvement Authority and the execution of a lease and agreement relating thereto. Can somebody please make a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 1223?
So moved. Second.
All right, Councilmembers Bieber?
Yes.
Booker?
Yes.
Catalano?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Bueller?
Yes.
And Lonnie?
Yes.
All right, would anybody be heard on ordinance number 12-2023? All right, can somebody please make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 12-2023?
So moved.
Second.
Councilmembers Bieber?
Yes.
Booker?
Yes.
Catalano?
Yes.
Gorman?
Yes.
Bueller?
Yes.
And Lonnie?
Yes.
All right, we close the public hearing on ordinance 12-2023. Can somebody please make a motion to adopt ordinance 12-2023 and advertise accordingly?
So moved.
Second. All right. Councilmembers Bieber?
Yes.
Booker?
Yes.
Catalano?
Yes.
Gorman?
Yes.
Bueller?
Yes.
And Lonnie? All right, we've adopted ordinance 12-2023. We're going to move on to our next ordinance, 13-2023, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 201 entitled Vehicles and Traffic of the Code of the Borough of Seabright. Can somebody please make a motion to open a public hearing on ordinance number 13-2023?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Councilmembers Bieber?
Yes.
Booker?
Yes.
Catalano?
Yes.
Gorman?
Yes.
Bueller?
Yes.
And Lonnie?
Yes.
All right, is there anybody who'd like to be heard regarding ordinance number 13-2023? All right, can somebody please make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 13-2023?
So moved.
Second.
Councilmembers Bieber?
Yes.
Booker?
Yes.
Catalano?
Yes.
Gorman?
Yes.
Keeler?
Yes.
And Lonnie? Can somebody please make a motion to adopt ordinance 13, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All right, council members Bieber,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Keeler,
Yes.
and Lyon.
Yes.
All right, we have successfully adopted ordinance 13, 2023. We've got ordinance number 14, 2023, an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 195 entitled towing of the code of the Borough of Seabright. Can somebody please make a motion to open a public hearing on ordinance number 14, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All right, council members Bieber,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Bueller,
Yes.
and Lyon.
Yes.
All right, would anybody like to be heard on ordinance number 14, 2023? All right, so we can make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 14, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All right, council members Bieber,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Bueller,
Yes.
and Lyon.
Yes.
All right, can somebody please make a motion to adopt ordinance 14, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Councilmembers Bieber,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Bueller,
Yes.
and Lyon. All right, we've successfully adopted ordinance number 14, 2023. We're on to our next and final ordinance, number 15, 2023, Borough of Seabright, an ordinance providing funding for the sand replenishment project for the Borough of Seabright and appropriating $55,000 for such purpose. Can somebody please make a motion to introduce ordinance number 15, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Councilmembers Bieber,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Bueller,
Yes.
and Lyon.
Yes.
All right, ordinance number 15, 2023 has been introduced. Moving on to individual action, new business vouchers in the amount of $866,297.50. Can somebody please make a motion to approve this voucher list?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Councilmembers Bieber,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Bueller,
Yes.
and Lyon.
Yes.
All right, we have approved the voucher list. Just a very brief announcement. Chris notified me today that the council is in receipt of the 2020 audit, and everything is good, right?
Yes, it was a good audit. We have no corrective actions that we need to do, so
All right.
that's a good thing.
And the auditor said our surplus is in fine shape, back to where it should be, and even a little hefty. We'll look at that next year, but we're in good financial shape, as you know from our budget this year, et cetera. But the audit was a very good audit this year. As Chris said, no corrective actions need to be taken. No findings, none of those.
Congratulations. We're about to be proud of you.
Yep.
That's on the word to Mr. Basson.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, do we have anything for our executive session, or we?
I don't have anything for
Okay, I
executive
don't have
session.
anything either. Does anybody?
The mayor?
I had just something I want to mention very briefly to executive.
Okay, sounds good. With that means.
They're doing mayor and council comments and
I apologize, Jack. I was on there, and then I read the announcement, which was populating its space. Let me give you a brief update. First of all, I want to thank Heather again and everyone involved with the farmers market. You guys doing a great job. Hopefully, we're getting a good turnout. Every Tuesday, right? Every Tuesday,
Every Tuesday.
9 to 2.
Well, a couple of things are coming out. One, we'd like to give the opportunity to expand to get more vendors, but we need additional space. So I've been ran some numbers with Captain Arias on just Tuesdays. The beach is coming to an end. We'd love to move closer to as close to Ocean Avenue as possible because we need street traffic now, which is main traffic.
Sure.
To come and support the market, but there's a desire for more vendors to come, and then they also like to change the time because they're seeing a lot more activity towards the tail end. So they'd love to do like a 12 to 5, which I think a lot of the community.
That makes more sense. Because I can work.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all positives. So
It would only be 1 week of paid parking, next Tuesday.
and down my chapel area, there's no I haven't seen parking there on Tuesday mornings for weeks, so.
And how far is this going to run? How far into the year?
So it'll run outside through October 24th, and then come the end of October, when it starts to get pretty dark, we're gonna move inside the rec center.
Okay.
So we'll be kind of the only community nearby that's gonna offer farmers market year round. And all the vendors seem to be excited about that option as well. And when it comes to the winter time, we can turn it into a bazaar and bring, different type of more gifting vendors towards the holiday, but we'd like to just see how long we can keep it going. If the community supports it, the vendors will show up.
So as Joe said, we're going to fetch one more week of paid parking, but after which it doesn't affect the other in town.
And if you look at Tuesdays, honestly, for a while, I haven't, we're not maxed out from a parking standpoint, just Tuesdays.
Yeah, well, we got the chief, right? We'll figure it out.
Excuse me?
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll sit down and see how we can work it out. I always just have very hesitant about blocking off a big chunk of paid parking spots from paid parking. And not that I don't like the farmer's market, but I want to make sure if other people come in and say, well, they got to do that, why can't we do that? I want to make sure that your farmer people are happy and it's easy for us, because I know people want certain spots. I don't want to get into that, but a couple years ago, wanted spots, and there was a resident parked there, and then we had to take it and tow them, and then it really just became a big to do. I want to make sure it works for everybody, because I don't want to take it to any business owners from there. Anybody, I want to make it work the best we can. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, because you and I spoke about it too, and it's just like, it's so tough because you have business parking that you have to account for it.
Yeah, and the business parking and
Paid parking.
yesterday, so all the business people are not out of the church. We bought a ton of cars over on this side too, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah, sounds Yeah, that's real good. Really nice. Yeah, just so that, everyone with kids in school, we do. This is a big week. It kicks off again here in Oceanport or Shore Regional. So, get up there. There's a nice, safe, fun here for our little guys, but good luck everyone in the region. Some started today, some are starting Thursday, tomorrow. So, 'tis the season. There's not much I can really update. Speaking of schools regarding the regionalization, that's a kind of an ongoing, more legal realm. Everything things will continue to shake out over the next few weeks. So I'll see if when we have more information to report on it. There's no prior executive session. But aside from that, anybody have any updates for us for their committees?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Just on there on the consent agenda, has a repair of E1. That's going to take about a month and a half or so. And the truck is 19 years old, so working with the fire chief, the repair should give it another 5 to 7 years useful service. And then we also have the other, there's the purchase of the new ladder truck, and that's about 2.5 to 3 years before delivery. That'll be again, by that time, the current ladder truck will be approximately 20 years old. There's one thing, I don't know if you all got the notice that I'll read it here, it's from the county on the bridge. Due to fabrication delays, the channel closures that we talked about, the channel closure is going to be delayed 3 to 4 months. They didn't run out, but they are getting delayed in the delivery of steel for the operating span. So it's 3 to 4 month delay in construction of the bridge. We talked about that.
Jack, I was at a meeting last Friday, a bridge meeting, and the first set of spans are supposed to be coming on the 15th in 2 weeks from now. That's the first set of spans are coming in. So I don't know if anything has changed. I'll keep you updated if something comes up.
This is changed, just a general message.
Alright.
That's good, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
How many, I'm going to ask you this, how many attend those meetings?
It's only a couple of us. I usually go and just put the ropes with Seabright. It's mostly engineers and people from Pearson's.
Okay.
They speak, I don't know what they're talking about.
I think it's a very busy weekend, as I'm sure you all know, and since the fire chief is here and Anthony from First Aid, I asked him, could you give the rundown on the calls you had? I know we're very busy.
So Saturday through Monday night, Saturday morning through Monday night, we logged 29 calls. We had two incidents of significance where the first one was a boating accident in the Shrewsbury, down by like the 300 block where the Shrewsbury and down St. Pete. Pontoon boat drove up onto the rocks there and put all 10 people into the water.
It was one of the pontoon boats.
It was a party barge. So that was actually $700 for 2 days because the following day nobody recovered that boat that night, so we were chasing that boat all day the next day. So Seato finally can't salvage it. That same day, this was on Sunday night, we had another overturned boat up by the Rumson Bridge. Those people self-rescued themselves. The boat was later found on Sedge Island, or again recovered by Seato. Really, those were the two main incidents of significance that we had, but it was just a busy.
Yeah, graduated with 10 people, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Pull out of the water.
There's a couple of good Samaritan boats that were out there were helping six people out of the water. State police did show up. And finished it off.
Is that a local fellow? I see those boats running up and down the river.
I'm not sure. Everything was turned over to state police.
But at this time, I'd ask you, I noticed for the first time, Monmouth County Sheriff has a boat running.
They've had a boat for a while. They just have a new, prettier one, which is probably why you're now seeing.
Okay, a pretty good sized boat.
Oh yeah, it's nice to have that long canyon.
Yeah. Good. Anthony, good.
So Friday through Monday, we saw 23 patients. We took 16 of them to the hospital. Yesterday being our most critical day, we actually had one of our EMTs perform CPR on the back of the ambulance on the way to the hospital, and that patient walked out of the hospital about 2 hours later. So he did a great job in the back of the ambulance.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, he did a great job.
They were unconscious when they found them? Or?
Yeah, so we went unconscious in the back of the ambulance, and he performed CPR, and by the time we got to the hospital, the patient was breathing again.
Oh, that's great.
So, between all his skills, he did a great job in the back of the ambulance.
Yeah.
And about 14 of the 23 patients we saw were from Santo. Santo kept us business again.
Thank you. Send my congratulations to the crew. That's nice.
They did a great job.
Yeah, and send Chad to you guys. A lot of great work. That's all I have, man.
Thanks, Chad.
Mayor, I have a couple things if I could.
Sure.
On the bulkhead improvement initiative, continue to make very good progress there. The Greg Lash and the docking team have completed the preliminary design for the bulkheading in the downtown area, and all the surveys have been completed. It's sufficient that what we wanted to do is get a package for purposes of grant submission. The good news in that is there were no surprises in any of the surveying they did. They actually walked people's properties, there were no objections or anything like that, so they had a chance to survey the whole area of interest. We're pursuing a number of different grant approaches, as you and I think the council know. Number one, we submitted for the federal appropriations through Senator Menendez and Booker's office. We're going to try to continue to pursue that. That's obviously a long gestation period. But today, we had an excellent meeting with Jillian Stokely from the Office of Emergency Management to talk about two other types of grants that we may be ripe for. One is the Building Resilience Infrastructure for Communities grant, which is a BRIC grant. The other is a Flood Mitigation Act grant. After going through it was fantastic today because we had our professionals. Mike Baskin was there, Greg was there, Jeff attended, Joe attended. We had a chance to go through all of that. And Jillian is an extremely knowledgeable person. And she listened to our proposal and she said, it feels like you guys are in a bit of a sweet spot. You're not too big, you're not too small. There's immediate impact. It's going to come down to the cost-benefit analysis. So we're going to start the process of putting together the application for this, which we think will probably take us about 3 to 4 months. During that process, we dovetail nicely into the time that they open up the application period for these type of grants, which is in the January, February timeframe of next year. I tried to pin her down based on her professional experience, what she thinks the probability is. She wouldn't give us a number, but she said if it's well completed and well done and the cost-benefit analysis turns out the way it sounds like it should, we should have a relatively good chance. So the two good things, if that happens, Number one, it does not come with long strings attached to it, like different size heights and public access. The other thing that could be very positive is it's the kind of thing you're going to know relatively quickly whether or not you're going to get a grant. So if we sat and idle for 2 years to find out we weren't successful, that would be 2 years of exposure and risk that we would have.
Now, was this a state level grant?
It would be federal funding, but coordinated through the state. So I and I think Joe and Jeff and our professionals walked away from that. Now what we have to do is we have to do the work to get it adequately completed and make sure.
That's part of the survey you're doing right now.
Yeah, and one of the things I'll say to our chiefs out here is we're going to hold a meeting to bring people together to understand what are the financial impacts to the town when we have flooding. What's the amount of road closure, what's the police action, what does it do to the fire department, what does it do to EMS, what does it do to the homeowners, what does it do to the businesses, access to the town, because all of those things relate to the cost-benefit analysis that's ultimately done, and that's what they use for the determination. Yeah, exactly. So all of the flood insurance protection program, we're going to do all of that data. It's a lot of work. Joe is going to help coordinate this, but I walked away very encouraged that if this works, it is a primary path, and like she said, when it's approved, there are no strings attached to it. You manage the project, your professionals manage the project, and they write the checks. So I don't want to get everybody's hopes up. There's a lot of work ahead, but I think that's a very positive thing.
Let me just double check. That means that people can leave the height of the bulkhead where it is now, or?
No. No, what we want to do is we want to get everybody to 7 feet above mean high tide. Okay. And we have people in town right now that have everything from no bulkhead to a low bulkhead to an acceptable bulkhead. Right, and what we're talking about, if you remember from our discussion, is a project that would go somewhere from the Rumson Bridge, because that is a high point in our downtown area, somewhere down around Osborne, potentially a little bit south of that, because Ocean Avenue picks up a little bit in that southern area, and what we want to create is an area between those 2 points that the bulkhead would protect, number one, that the check valves would help protect against, and the additional pump station being done as part of the Haven project would all come together for purposes of making this work. And whether this ultimately gets funded by Fed, state, or through bonding and us, the assessment is would probably protect us against the 8% storm. In other words, a Sandy would come over the top. But anything short of that was typically experienced, this design would help to be able to protect against. That would be huge to the town of Seabright. So I appreciate the support of everybody that's involved in this, and we're making good progress.
One question. If people downtown, they go on, is there public access requirements?
It depends on the grant type that we get, and we don't know that yet. If it's FEMA money directly through a federal grant, that may be a string attached to it, which we may not accept. If it's the kind of program I just described from BRIC or FMA, what Jillian said is it will not come with a string attached like that on public access.
Right.
So, and in the end, we don't want to do this through a bonding process. We would like to get federal money as best as we can.
Yeah.
But I had Mike Baskin do an analysis that said, if we did this project and we bonded it through the whole town, what would the impact be to the average taxpayer? And the answer was $180 a year. So if we wind up going down that route, ultimately, that would be the way we would not want to go. But in the end, the benefit that we would derive from something like that would be huge. Everybody in the town would benefit from something like that. So that's a preliminary number. We prefer not to go that way. We would like to get federal funding. And if we get that, our goal would have this whole project done in 2 years. Get the approvals, get the federal funding, and a year for the project after that. Have it done roughly about 2 years from now. Joe, you're more expert on this than I. Anything you would add to that?
No, it was a positive meeting today. We think we've qualified, as Councilman Bieber said, it's the benefit cost analysis it's going to come down to, and that's why we're having the meeting, and hopefully we have the statistics that show how many man hours, how many trucks. I guess it's kind of like the same thing we went through with Sandy, on getting reimbursed through FEMA. How many people were out there, what the damage is to our vehicles going through salt water. I don't know how you quantify that, but it's certainly just a statistical kind of analysis that they do, and I think we should be able to do that. And the strings aren't attached, according to Julie.
I mean, this would be huge for the town. We got us off the news for the majority of the storms that happened, and we want to be sort of the flood capital of the Jersey Shore. So very good progress there, and I appreciate everybody's help. The second thing is good progress on the training pavilion project down in Anchorage that we talked about. I know we presented that in the workshop. We're making progress there. The request for quote is out. It's out in public now. We have a couple of vendors that we're hoping respond to this. Our goal is to try to have responses by before our next workshop. And if that happens, I would present the results of that.
Is it our workshop next week?
The RFPs are due the day of the workshop. Have to have so many days.
Yeah, it has to be out for
It's
some
actually a bit.
I think well, anyway, the exact timing will work out, but the goal would be, and I have some concerns about this, the goal would be to get bids back and take a look at them. If they fit within the available funding, then we would have a recommended provider and we get approval through a resolution to do that. Yeah. The reason I say I have concern about it is if you take a look at the RFP that went out, it was that thick. And this is for a pavilion that's off the shelf. So how people are going to respond and say, you went through the same thing with the lifeguard stands, right? We're going to have to try to figure out a way through this. But the good news is we've made progress, things are happening. Real quickly, on the code enforcement front, just a quick update. Year-to-date, the court fee payments that we've received are up 76% from last year. So it's bad for the person that gets the ticket. It's good from a revenue perspective. And remember, a lot of this was driven by the desire to reduce illegal parking. So I think a good chunk of this increase is coming from the increase of the illegal parking ticket from $50 to $125. So Chief and your team, thank you for what you're doing there. It's making a big difference, and I would imagine it's impacting the amount of illegal parking, hopefully, but it's nonetheless, it's resulting in increased revenue. So thank you for that. Short-term rental is going really, really well. We are getting our monthly checks now from the state. They come every month. Even before the summer started, the revenue generated was over $40,000 on this. We have 60 people who have signed up. And to me, one of the most important things about this is now all the short-term rentals that are registered are getting formal COs. And they're getting the documentation on what are the rules with regard to renting. And this process is actually putting some good things in place. So we had 3 goals in this. Number 1 was to have people apply. The application fee is $500. We have 60 people who applied. Number 2 was to implement a municipal tax, which we had done, and that's what's generating a lot of the revenue. And 3 was the council's decision and desire to have short-term rentals no less than 7 days. We are struggling with that one right now. Because what people are doing is they're saying, oh, I only rented 2 out of the 7. So it didn't change the fact that it's a short-term rental, but they're not renting it for the whole week. So what I'm going to do at the end of the summer is I'm going to get Tom and Karen and probably Joe together and do a little bit of lessons learned. And how do we want to, if any way, change this for next year? Is there anything we want to improve, modify, do differently? But the program has done everything that we had hoped for this year, and hopefully we'll make it even better next year.
I think just one thing to add for next year, just as an observer, is if there's any way of upkeep of the home, like some of those Airbnbs, they're like overgrown and.
Not well maintained?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and the last thing I have, Mayor, is we had asked Richard to put together, with Tom Hagee's input, a draft ordinance on fire pits in town, if you remember that discussion. Richard's done that. He's prepared a draft of that. I have not seen it yet, but I'll be happy to take a look at it. And once we take a review of that, we'll circulate it around for consideration by the council. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Again, what was the recommendation?
76%.
Thanks, Norman.
Yep.
One question. Did we get any complaints from Airbnbs? Like, were there any call-ins about partying or anything like that?
I'm just thinking about this. I don't think we had calls for some noise and music and stuff like that, but it never came to where this is a Airbnb and people shouldn't be able to have. Like, we didn't have any a lot of those. I don't think we had any of them where it was.
You know, it was last year, really,
yeah, we had parties going, but nothing came to where we had to shut it down and find who the owner of the residence was and learn about that point at all this year. We did shut some parties down and turn the noise down, nothing out of control.
Yeah. I mean, you probably saw in the news today, there's a big thing going on in New York City right now with Airbnbs. I don't know if you saw it on the news, right? And they're battling, it's going to be a big battle in New York City. And they're trying to make 30-day minimums for rentals. And that is a huge business. So, in my mind, we got it almost right the first year, right? Because Airbnbs actually provide benefit to the town. It brings people in, they spend money in our shops, they buy beach badges, so there's a positive thing there. The thing is, if it's done in a way that it's respectful, it's controlled, and the town benefits from it, that's great. So that's what we're going to try and do, is just shape it a little bit more. I appreciate the comment, to see if we can make it even better next year.
Yeah, the only thing is, I mean, again, the majority of it, but I still think 3-day rental is the way to go. There's a lot of, since it is a wedding town and everything, it doesn't make people go crazy over 3 days. But a lot of, I know, one of my neighbors don't do it anymore because as we say, it's not worth his time. There's so many kids with 3-day rentals.
Yeah.
So it's just consideration.
Yeah, I mean, we did hear quite a voice from our residents, if you remember on this. And the general voice from the residents in town, which matters, that certainly matters to us, is no less than 7. Because the people who are living next to those people prefer a longer period of time. They want a family compared to a 2-day party. So
You're not going to shop in shops, you're not going to buy a beach badge if you're doing those quick weekends, weddings, you're going to miss the use of the town.
So just to put it at the end on this, we're going to collect all our information at the end of the year. I'll bring it back to the council. I'll say, here are our recommendations for next year, and we'll discuss them. And then we'll decide from there. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just do each one. Don led us to another great year. We went with no issues compared to our neighboring towns, St. Joe and Middlemore has some damage going on with road bed up there. We cleared $1 million again for another year, $1,070,000 in revenues. We crushed it there, and hats off to the whole team.
That's very safe here, especially without any news. I mean, they had another great year. They just play well. They've got it down so well. So, down the whole team, they do such a good job. It's not different than 15 years ago. It's really something about so much. It's one thing, but no, nice job, everybody.
Yes. Commendations.
Anybody else?
I had the opportunity to be able to attend the meeting earlier with respect to some of the grant opportunities, bulkheading and that sort of thing. One of the things that I took from the meeting, and I know that Joe and Greg others will push this to the department heads, etc. But it was very clear to me how important attention to detail is going to be on this, and making sure that the information that's being collected and put into the system is good, clean data that can be supported with strong documentation. Because to an earlier point, we don't want to have a situation where we get a year into it and we've got an initial sort of thumbs up, and now they start digging, and we don't really have what we need from a supporting documentation standpoint. So. Not to say that we are able to do that, but it was made very clear that that's one of the worst things. It's better to get a quick no, than a really long no, right? So when we're sitting here, years from now, and something wasn't quite right or whatever, or we couldn't prove this or that, and they pulled the plug up. So I would just say, and I know that the administration will do a great job of this. Is just being as diligent as we possibly can and timely as we possibly can with this to increase our chances of not just scoring well, but when it comes time to be ready for a final review, that none surprises.
John, anything?
Not really. People want to work on something in the fall, like a cleanup with Public Works, and so we're talking about it. Right now, Public Works got their hands full. Hopefully, we wind down here, and we're going to start to work on our list of things that need attention, right? So get past this season.
Yeah. All right, great. So I guess that's a wrap for the public portion